Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the Week 11 sports betting show here on the channel. Myself, Mattek, and Rich Hribar. We are going to pick our 5 favorite games against the spread. We are going to build an underdog pick'em entry. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to chat some ball. Let's make some money.
It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King Summer.
All right, Reebs. We're here. The double-digit weeks, man. You've got fantasy teams that maybe last week, maybe week 10, you're like, oh, if I run the table, maybe if I run the table, we'll get there. It's dead now. You probably have, the average listener probably has like 3 teams left they really care about that are alive, which actually is great for this show because that means, dude, it's time to start firing some sports bets. It's time to playoff best ball is launched, man. We got playoff contests live out there in the lobby. So people are ready to move on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're an FFPC and so there's like 2 weeks left in the regular season, and it's the the little round robin playoff thing, not round robin, but the little playoffs and then the open field tournament. So, yeah, man, it's cooking. We're there.
It's cooking.
I mean, it's about to be Thanksgiving.
It's about to be Thanksgiving. It's about to be our annual Cooper Rush game. Like it feels like the rule on Thanksgiving is one of the teams always has to be in a terrible spot. Whether it's the
David
Lions,
Blau,
David Blau. Yeah, it just I don't know why. Yeah, the people want to know if you've checked your best ball team.
Absolutely not.
Buddy. Yeah, don't don't do it. My thought would be don't do it. We have a great slate of games this week though. Like I was a fun
slate.
Yeah, like the DFS slate is good. The betting is good. I mean, there is we'll save it for the end, but there is a literal generational wealth opportunity to be had in the sports betting streets. I can tell longtime listeners of the show and fans of this program that we're gonna have the same favorite number 1 team. So there's a spoiler alert for about 27 minutes from now. Reeves,
how nervous are you though about it?
We'll talk about it when we get there. We'll talk about. I have a lot of complex thoughts, honestly, about that game.
I mean, it's a rule, so we've got to do it, but also
the Kansas City Chiefs.
The devil magic has to hit a wall.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. It feels like if the Chiefs' devil magic is going to run out, isn't it going to run out in the playoffs? Not a Week 11 game, in Orchard Park. That's what it feels.
It'll
like.
Come when it doesn't matter, right? It'll be like, well.
True. Okay, true. Reebs, let's fire it up. What is your 5th favorite game against the spread this week in NFL sports betting?
Yeah, I always like to pick kind of like a dog down here, or like try to find an upset. I don't know how much an upset it will be, but I'm gonna have the Browns down here. I actually show that they should be favored on my stuff. The Saints are a team that still just like they seem just completely kind of rudderless, and not that the Browns are like absolutely just like firing on all cylinders, but the Saints probably lose last week if Koo makes like any field goals. They probably should have lost that game.
That was crazy. He just kept missing. Felt like every time that game went to red zone, it was Younghoe Koo missing a field goal.
The Saints defense is the big problem here, right? Like obviously, without Marshawn Lattimore, without Paulson Adebo, like I just have no faith that they can really stop the pass, even against Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston will probably throw them 1, maybe even 2. But also I think this is a good spot for the Browns to kind of get Nick Chubb going. The 3 games that Nick Chubb has played since he's returned have been kind of miserable layouts for him. He obviously had to start with Dorian Thompson-Robinson in his first game back, and we knew he wasn't going to play a whole lot. And then they faced the Ravens and Chargers, like 2 tougher opponents against the run. and then game script was kind of an issue for him, and then the Chargers game as well. But this is a spot where I think with a tight point total, they can actually get Nick Chubb going. I mean, if he doesn't get going here, it's probably never going to get happening. The Saints haven't tackled anyone for the last like 7 weeks.
Right.
So, and you look at the running backs that have gotten, there wasn't just Bijan Robinson last week. It's guys like Javonte Williams and Sean Tucker and Kareem Hunt, right? Like these are also guys that have torched them. So this would be a good spot, I think, for the Browns to play a little bit more conservative, maybe not have like the Jameis, like we need Jameis to like drop back and do crazy shit game. They can get Nick Chubb going. And like I said, I just don't really believe in the Saints, defense. And Marcus Valdes-Scantling ain't going to catch three bombs again. That's the most PPR points he's ever scored in a game in his career.
He sure is not. The market agrees with you. We've got it opened. It's moved quite a bit. It's moved almost. Yeah, it's moved like 3 points in the Browns' favor. This one was not on my list because like the Jameis Winston experience for me is better left for fantasy football.
Yeah, it always is
than it is for real football. I've got another pretty wacky one here.
It's fun to have some fun.
But dude, the Lions. I'm taking the Lions as a 14-point home favorite. Giant number.
I just go for the number, but I don't mind it.
Like the thing would be with a normal team, you'd be like, oh, well, 14 points is way too much. I mean, dude, like Dan Campbell has these dudes out here running laps. Like he's got David Montgomery threw a touchdown to Brock Wright in the third quarter against the Tennessee Titans. Like basically, I think that this number is right in the sense that the Lions are, I mean, they are that much better, right? No doubt about it. But 14 points, I guess you just look at it and you get sticker shock, but I'm like, dude, Mac Jones threw 62% of his passes to tight ends last week. He had the Jaguars had a billion opportunities to win that game against the Vikings. They really did. Every time the Vikings would get anything going, Darnold would throw an interception and the Jaguars would get the ball back and they would punt immediately. I think the Jaguars are totally hapless. I think we see, like, I think the Lions could put up like 45 points.
Oh yeah, listen, I love too that the Jaguars are making Doug Peterson finish this season out. Like I love it. Like you talked about it. We talked about it last week, right? Like where you're like, it's like the kid that gets caught smoking. It's like, dude, finish the whole pack. Like I love it. They're just making I feel like he's been trying to get fired. It almost feels like it. Just make him finish the season. I love it.
Man, Doug Peterson caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And it's like Mac Jones didn't even give you like a moment of like, oh, well, Mac Jones, man, remember he was a first round pick. He looked like not one, like not a single throw, not a single drive. There was none of that. Like absolutely none of that. It's so brutal. And the thing about these big numbers, you want to have a team that just like can't help but run the ball well, Like basically, like if you're betting on a team laying this, you want them to be a team that runs the ball incredibly well, and they're like the best running team, best rushing EPA team in the entire National Football League. So it's number 5. It's low on the list, but Detroit Lions minus 14 points. I'm in. I'm on it. All right, that's my number 5. Reeves, what is your number 4?
I'm taking another maybe potentially spicy one here for dog to potentially win outright, and I'm going with the Bengals. And it's really
this is my 2.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, listen, I want to respect the Chargers. I really do. And Herbert's playing excellent football. Like, it's now that it looks like Herbert's like fully over the toe injury and the ankle injury. Like he's been absolutely balling. They've actually put the ball in his hands a lot more the past month. I think he gets there. I think Herbert has a really strong fantasy game. There's a lot of pieces I like, but this is by far the best offense the Chargers have faced. I like this game to go over too. I think I would probably rather just play the over than just money line the Bengals. But if you're taking the Bengals, I think you just money line them. But like Gardner Minshew, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, they did face Mahomes, Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, Spencer Rattler, Jameis Winston, and Will Levis. Like those are the quarterbacks that they face. Now, granted, they didn't let a lot of those guys punch up. We can't just completely tear them down because they haven't allowed more than 20 points in a game. Let one of those guys kind of walk over them. But I mean, the Bengals are going to score points, and can the Chargers, kind of match it? Can the Chargers get into a game where they have to score 30, right? And until I see like proof of concept of that happening, I kind of want to bet against it. And the Bengals are, when you look at their peripherals, I mean, this is a team that should have a lot more wins than it has. I mean, they've actually led for more snaps this season than the Chiefs. They're fourth in the NFL in rate of snaps trailing, snaps run trailing. And it's just crazy. They've just had this really bad luck. They've squandered away 2 games against the Ravens, the Death Star that is the Ravens. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of go on a limb here and say like, yeah, I like the Bengals to pull this one out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is sort of an obvious spot where we've got the classic wrong team favored. And I actually think, by the way, the line in and of itself not being the full 3, and in fact, like kind of like being like 1.5 and 1 with a little bit of vig in spots.
Yeah, it's kind of suggesting it.
It's kind of suggesting that, where the Bengals have put a lot of bad performances on tape and in the numbers, but like the heights of the Cincinnati Bengals, like the Bengals, I believe, I was looking at this yesterday for playoff best ball stuff. I believe they are ahead of the Chargers in Super Bowl odds. Let me like double check and confirm that, so I'm not there. It depends on where you look. They're both like 35 or 40 to 1. A couple books have the Bengals ahead, which is illustrative of this point, because the Bengals are a better team. Burrow's better than Herbert. No disrespect to Herbert. Chase is way better than any player on the Chargers. I mean, Chase would be the best player on either team. The Bengals defense has been brutal, but that matters a little bit less against this specific team, because even though they have tilted more towards heavy, they actually have been a passing team. They've been letting Herbert scramble a little bit. They're not like an explosive passing team, and that's kind of the issue. Whereas the Bengals kind of have trouble moving the chains, but they're an incredibly explosive passing offense. And they're probably going to get T. Higgins back this week. Did you see that great thread that Andrew Cooper did yesterday?
Running up the hill?
Running up the hill. Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was phenomenal content. Yeah, I think this is like an incredibly good spot. And also home road, like, I don't know. How much does that stuff matter in 2024?
Well, not in SoFi. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely for the Chargers. For the Chargers, it definitely doesn't matter. There's probably going to be a ton. And my read is that the Bengals' pass defense is worse than their rush defense, if I'm thinking about the ways that teams have kind of schooled them. And it's like, well, what are the Chargers going to do? It's like, is Jalen Reagor and DJ Chark going to beat me? I don't know. Probably not. And the Bengals have a ground game now. I mean, that's the other thing on top of it. The Bengals were wasting these early down rushes on Zach Moss, and he's gone now. They have I believe Chase Brown still leads the NFL in success rate. I'd have to go look that up as well. But I mean, they're just the Bengals are snake bitten. They're not really this bad, like not even close.
Yeah. So I mean, I got this one here. So little short dogs here. Well, the Browns, I guess, are no longer a short dog.
Yeah, no, they aren't. All right, that was my number 2. My number 4, Reeves, is the God. Why am I doing this? I don't. It's like I'm about to say this, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. But it's the Indianapolis Colts plus 4 points against the New York Jets.
Yeah, I considered it.
It's kind of like the bad vibes bowl. Basically, it's like who has the worst vibes? Like the conversation between, like, oh, Joe Flacco's our starter. Anthony Richardson's our starter. Anthony's always been our starter. Joe Flacco's our starter for the rest of the year. Shane Steichen a week ago said that Anthony Richardson. Yeah.
On Monday he said it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But basically, the Colts have this brutal defense, but I don't even know if the Jets are really set up to take advantage of that, because like they're outside of like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, like LOL, he's terrible. What it looks like it's missing to me is it's all like timing. It's all timing and play sequencing. And it's like, oh, they get in a 2nd and 9 situation and they're just like hopeless. And they're not even that effective in short yardage, which is weird because you have Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Like the whole Jets thing just feels disjointed. But the thing on top of that, the hat on top of the hat, is this defense was supposed to be good, Rich. What happened to the New York Jets defense. I have
And they
no
fired
idea.
they fired their defensive head coach.
But I assume, didn't they? I mean, they had to have left some guys in the building that were familiar with it. Like, I don't know how much is Robert Saleh installing each week? Maybe it's a ton. I don't know. I don't really have clarity on that, to be honest. But basically, I think that the Colts are just going to run the ball really well. They're going to minimize what Richardson has to do. The Jets are going to continue to implode on themselves like a red dwarf. Rodgers is going to be yelling at people on the sidelines. Davante Adams, dude, what was up with Davante Adams last week? I mean, he looked like Marquez Valdes-Scantling out there. He didn't trap the ball on the one pass that he could have had that was a touchdown. Like, Rodgers kept targeting him. It was so funny. Mina Kimes tweeted this. He's like, Davante Adams is the only player on earth that could have a miscommunication with Rodgers leading to a turnover where you wouldn't see him just like death glare at him after the play, because they really do love each other that much. But yeah, I have the Indianapolis Colts plus 4 points. And in fact, probably just take them on the money line. Honestly, this feels like the I don't know. It's the vibes are so bad for the New York Jets that this would kind of be the piece de resistance. Rodgers said he wants to play again next year.
We don't want him to play again.
Well, do we? What is the alternative in New York? I mean, I don't want Trevor Siemian throwing passes to Garrett Wilson.
I don't know. Listen, I'm never betting on the Jets again after last week. I'm done. I'm done with the Jets. I'm done with Aaron Rodgers. I should have known better. I got cookie jarred. But I mean, if you forced me to pick a side, I would pick this one. I was looking at some stuff for this game, and the Jets have been a lot better at home. Like, Rodgers has been better at home, and the defense has been a lot better at home. And then you still have the Richardson factor. So I ultimately left it off. I know Warren likes this game, though, and he likes the Colts side too. So a lot makes sense. I'm definitely not betting on the Jets ever again, though.
Honestly, that was like what led me there, which is just like, I literally will never bet on the Jets again. And if I'm never betting on the Jets again, I don't know, like it would be, to be honest, Reeves, I know I'm like done with the Richardson experience, but like, I actually would be.
I'm not done with it. I mean, listen, Anthony Richardson, up until he releases the football, looks the part.
He looks great. Yeah.
Like,
I would love to see.
Like, you see, like there's been like breakdowns, like mechanically and stuff. Like he's doing everything right until the ball leaves his hand. He just doesn't know where it's going after that. But like, he hangs in pockets. Like, he believes in his head, like he's John Elway, like, or Dan Marino. Like, and then just when the ball comes out,
I would so much. I would honestly so much rather have that for a young quarterback than the guy who starts seeing ghosts. Like, because I feel like you can, I don't know. Mike Leach always said you can't teach accuracy. You know,
the last game he played, the start against the Texans, I mean, dude, he was making plays. Like, I mean, he missed downs on one where he probably makes, but you're going to have that with Richardson. But he had a deep ball to Alec Pierce where his left tackle stepped on his leg while he was throwing. Adonai Mitchell dropped like the best throw he made of that game for a touchdown, like a potential touchdown. Like, he has like good like stuff on tape. It's just when the ball comes out of his hand, sometimes you don't know where the hell it's going, man.
Yeah. His sack rate is really low, which is like, which is
well, that's the
really
big thing
important
about the Flacco stuff is they traded like the completion gap, right? So everyone talks about the completion rate. He was completing 20% more of his passes than Anthony Richardson, but you were trading that off for only a marginal uptick in success rate. Their success rate on passing plays with Joe Flacco versus Anthony Richardson is like plus 1.7% because Flacco had more turnover worthy plays than Anthony Richardson on the season. Like, and then he's also been sacked on 26% of his pressures, which is 32nd in the NFL, and Anthony Richardson only 18%, which is 11th. So they were just trading like a higher completion rate, a small uptick in success rate for just more negative plays, sacks, and turnovers.
Yeah. So there you go. The Indianapolis Colts.
We wasted our time. Like, we just wasted 2 weeks of the season for the Colts, though. Like,
I know, like, the win now move.
We just wasted it.
Dude, the Joe Flacco, not the pick six wasn't even the bad one. It was the next interception that I was just like, all right, dude, enough. Like, it was like the one where the lineman got it. All right, it was like we could be.
Oh, the screen, here. Yeah, the screen pass, yeah.
It's like we could just be done here. forever with the Joe Flacco experience. All right, Reeves, that was my 4. We've done my 2. So I have my 3 and my 1 left. What is your 3?
This is where I have the Ravens.
The Ravens are my 2.
Anytime I'm going to see the Ravens, I'm going to tell you right now, the rest of the season, if it's 3 points or less, like I'm just going to take them. I mean, that's just the way it is. I assume that this will be the old school Davis and Reeves betting card. Mahomes is a dog and the Ravens. It's like a short favorite. What's interesting about this matchup versus the other game that I'm sure we'll talk about is that this is only the 5th time that Lamar Jackson's faced the Steelers because it's just like circumstances, right? Like it's crazy because it's gonna be the 8th time that Allen and Mahomes have played. And you figure like this division game, Lamar would have faced the Steelers a bunch of times in his career, and he really hasn't because they played a couple times in week 17, week 18, where the Ravens have rested players. He missed one other matchup for COVID during the COVID years. And then he had like that 2-year window where he was banged up and missed a couple starts them. So it's pretty crazy that these teams haven't even played like a lot with Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback. He is only 1-3 against the Steelers, but like this version of the Ravens offense is just, it's a lot better equipped to handle what the Steelers do. And the Steelers being without Alex Highsmith is a massive deal. And not that the Ravens being without Kyle Hamilton isn't a big deal either, but the Ravens defense is bad anyways, even with Kyle Hamilton. Without Alex Highsmith on the field, the Steelers go from 5th in the NFL in pressure rate to 30th. And like I said, like the key to Lamar Jackson, like over the course of his career and in recent years, like when you want to disrupt him is when you're able to play a lot of like these man coverage blitzes, and the Steelers do that well, but are they able to do that without Alex Highsmith? And this version of the Ravens are better equipped to handle that because they literally surrounded Lamar Jackson for the first time in his career, which is guys that get open. Like he if you look at like ESPN open score stuff, like they have 4 of the top 40 guys in just terms of getting open. Because Mark Andrews is on this. People like the fantasy run out for Mark Andrews has been a lot worse than the play that he's actually had on the field. The thing is that he just isn't a full-time player anymore. He was last week without Isaiah Likely. But Isaiah Likely is tracking to play. We'll see if Deontay Johnson gets ramped up more and he takes more over from Nelson Aguilar. But Bateman's had the best year of his early career, and then Zay Flowers is a guy that can open. So if you're going to run these zero blitzes against Lamar, like they now have guys that can just beat you one-on-one. And that's a big deal. And then you have to and teams also can't play a lot of the man coverage zone blitz stuff against the Ravens now because of Derrick Henry. Because if you want to play man coverage in the RPO game, dude, you're in a box. Like you're in hell. Todd Bowles tried this a few weeks ago on Monday Night Game, and there's that play where Antoine Winfield just had no idea who to take. It was Lamar and Derrick Henry, and he's like, what the hell do I do? Plus, if you're going to play a lot of man coverage in the Ravens and not leave eyes in the backfield, I mean, you have the run out for Lamar Jackson. Like this team's just better equipped to handle the weaknesses of what their offenses were in other iterations when they would run up into opponents like this. So I have a lot more confidence in this matchup. We also seen the Steelers face a team that was like competent on offense last week. They haven't faced many competent offenses this season, and they gave up 27 points, right? So like,
and it should have been more, by the way. I mean, De'Ami Brown drops a touchdown, like literally just dead set in the end zone. I mean, the thing that I've seen people mention about that game relative to this game is like, oh, Jaden Daniels' rushing production was really limited. That's the plan that they're going to use on Lamar. And I mean this very respectfully, but Jaden Daniels is not Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar is a one of one, and Lamar's passing stats this year, Reeb. I mean, dude, he is on a total other level as a passer relative to where he's been at in the past. Like, I remember some stretches last year where we were talking about, oh, Lamar is going to be the MVP, but he was like not even top 5 in EPA. I mean, look at this dude. He is number 1 in EPA plus CPOE composite. Have we ever had Lamar Jackson come close to leading the league in completion percentage over expectation? Like never. That is not the type of quarterback that he has been historically. He is, and I think there's 2 things going on. The first is Flowers is like, I mean, what is he, like the 12th best wide receiver in the NFL or something? Like he's like, that was like a huge hit of a draft pick for the Ravens. And you don't want to say, I mean, Bateman's been good, man. Bateman, yeah. I know.
He's a good prospect, dude. He's a really good player, and he is a good player. Kind of snake bit early in his career. He's always gotten open. Lamar is the best intermediate passer this season. He's throwing at the intermediate level as his highest rate of his career, and he's number 1 in the NFL in completion rate, yards per pass attempt, and rating on throws 10 to 19 yards downfield. Like they're cooking the middle of the field, which again stems off of that Derrick Henry addition. Adding Derrick Henry to this offense and guys that can get open has been absolutely massive. I can't wait to see how they F this up in the playoffs like they always have. But like this is by far the best version of this offense that Lamar Jackson has had.
I'm trying to find Wilson in this graph. He's right there. Well, I mean, Wilson's 6th in EPA plus CPOE composite.
Dude, I mean, they're going to score. The Steelers are going to score in this game. This is another game that got immediately bet. I bet the over, and I think it opened at 46, and it's up to 48 now. They're going to score. The Ravens defense is awful.
How is the Ravens defense so awful, by the way? Like, what's the deal there?
They need, dude, they're last year's Lions. The problem with the Ravens is their run D is too good. Like, they need to start giving up some rushing yards. Remember, we did this with the Lions last year. It's like, dude, like you're just making teams just attack the largest weakness you have, which is your secondary. And the Ravens are doing that too. Like they literally have the best run defense outside of the Chiefs. And the teams are just like, we can't run on you. Oh, you can't stop us at all when we throw. We're gonna keep doing that.
That's so true. You don't want to have too good of a run defense.
Yeah, give up some rushing yards, Ravens.
Give up some rushing yards. Yeah. No, that's so funny. Obviously, I'm with you 100%. This was one that leapt out at me. Yeah, this is old school for me. My top 3 are just betting on the good quarterbacks, man. All right, so we did my 3. Did we do my 3? Yes, yeah, we did. And then we did my 2, which is the Bengals. So what is your 2?
So you only have one left?
Yeah.
Then we know what it is.
We know what it is. Spoiler alert.
This is where I got the Packers. Listen, man,
okay, interesting, because mine that was really not on my radar at all. This game terrifies me. So break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep betting against the Bears. I think at this point, it feels like this organization is headed for like a full-on implosion, right? Like, because you had the first scapegoat, the first domino falls, right? Like, whenever like one of these situations happens where the coach is on the brink of getting fired, the first thing that happens before that is always what? A coordinator gets fired. So we have that. There's rumors that players are asking for Caleb Williams to be benched, like on the offense.
Do you know about that story, by the way? Okay, here's the background on the Tyson Bagent thing. Caleb, it's a totally fake rumor. It's from
Tyson.
Definitely
probably is.
It's from Tyson Bagent's dad. Tyson Bagent, his dad is friends with Waddle and Sylvie, who are like the 2 biggest ESPN radio hosts in Chicago. Like they have like the number 1, I don't know if it's drive time or what, but they have the most popular, whatever the most popular thing is. And they text him. So effectively, Bagent's dad texts these guys and says, oh, my son, they want to start my son, the veterans, these guys want Bagent to start. They don't source the report or anything. But then the next day, this was on, so that would have been on Monday. Then the next day,
absolutely asinine.
So then the next day on Tuesday, basically the radio host inadvertently out. I was reading a whole Reddit thread on it. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but basically the radio guys inadvertently say it's Bagent's dad who gave them this information. So Bears Reddit and Bears Twitter and everything, they're all up in arms. Everyone accepts it universally is true because apparently Bagent's dad got in trouble with the team themselves, like the front office last year when they were doing the Bagent Justin Fields thing. Because didn't Bagent win 2 games last year or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, he sucked though.
Yeah, he sucked. But effectively, no veteran wanted Tyson Bagent. It was all Tyson Bagent's dad. But just the fact that Tyson Bagent's dad is even a power player in this whole thing, not indicative of an organization that's got it clamped down. Not indicative of a forward-looking organization.
No, and this is a spot where I can bet against Matt Eberflus versus Matt LaFleur, who has always been good hands to put your money in. Since the bye, the Bears have scored a touchdown on 2 of 34 drives. Thomas Brown took over at the midway point last season for the Carolina Panthers and did absolutely nothing to help that situation either. And a young quarterback in Bryce Young. So definitely am not thinking it's like a huge coaching bump going from Shane Waldron to Thomas Brown. Also, this offensive line is just a disaster. I mean, since the Bears have come out of their bye, they have allowed a 63% pressure rate to Washington, who was 13th in pressure rate coming into that game. They then allowed a 42% pressure rate to Arizona, who was 30th in pressure rate coming into that game. And then last week, they allowed a 40% pressure rate to the New England Patriots, who were 29th in pressure rate coming into that game. Dude, I mean, it's just bad. They're down bad. They can't pass block. It's a disaster, man, on all fronts. Like this feels like it's headed down to just like Caleb is going to have like a waste of a rookie year with like a coaching staff, and they're going to have to start all completely over next season.
So Caleb is having an all-time bad since this stuff started tracking.
And we originally, what was the narrative when Caleb got drafted? This is the best situation for our number one pick.
Yeah. You know, I think it's fair to blame a lot of it on Waldron. I think it's fair to blame a good bit of it on Eberflus, but I think the primary fault lies on the Bears organization and letting this happen to begin with. You can't have the number 1 overall pick come into a lame duck spot. You got to, Eberflus has got to go. You got to hire an offensive head coach who's going to like incubate effectively. Like, you know what? Jaden Daniels is going to have this happen too, because Cliff is going to get another shot, Rich. He's going to get another shot. Cliff is going to be the Raiders head coach next year or something. You know, that's the way she goes. And I think the Commanders are going to regret hiring Dan Quinn, which feels insane. What I just said sounds so insane. How could you possibly regret hiring Dan Quinn? You're going to make the playoffs with your rookie quarterback, probably. Well, it's just the way it goes. It's just kind of how these teams are. Unless you have a Dan Campbell, a true one of one, I think you are often going to regret doing it. Now, as it pertains to this specific game, Reeves, I'm a little worried we do get the dead coach bounce, where these guys, you know, a lot of times when you get a coordinator fired, everyone will be very politically correct. They'll be like, you know, it's the reality of the business, but, you know, Shane did some good work. Yeah, none of that. These dudes were burying him. Did you read some of this stuff?
Yeah,
Keenan Allen.
Crushed. I mean,
yeah,
dude,
Keenan Allen was.
We knew it when JSN got interviewed in the summer, but the interim head coach thing is real. But this is a coordinator getting fired. Like, there's no like real like evidence that there's a bounce here for coordinators.
They like Flusy.
I had people look at this. I had like Warren and them pull some stuff for this, and it was like that the interim head coach, like the Saints situation last week, is like a real thing. Or like the Antonio Pierce thing from last year. Like where that first game, those guys have success. Like Rizzy, what a character this guy is too. That the Saints head coach. We even talk about him. Like what a nutbag this dude is.
Yeah, he seems crazy.
These special team coordinators are they're different cats, dude. They're just different dudes.
I love that. I do love that. This is just like my favorite thing in the NFL right now is that Spagnuolo knows he just has drawing dead to be a good head coach. So he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna be a coordinator forever. Maybe that'll be what Cliff does too.
And I thought that was going to be the trajectory for Dan Quinn. Like, and then he got another shot. Just like some guys are better coordinators. But that's why Dan Quinn is so good. And that's why Ben Johnson has been able to cherry pick his spot to potentially be a head coach, is because Dan Quinn is one of the few coaches that just delegates in the NFL. Like he's like an absolute just leader of the team. And Aaron Glenn runs the defense. Ben Johnson runs the offense. Like there are no head coaches like this anymore, really. Like you typically either you're an offensive coordinator, you're a defensive coordinator, and you're the head coach as part of the gig. And I remember when Brad Holmes hired Dan Quinn, there was a quote. I'll try to find it, but I remember talking about this with Matt Kelly on his show when it was hired. And he said like his goal was to hire a head coach that was literally a leader first. And like you fucking nailed it, man. Like absolutely nailed it. But we don't have a lot of head coaches like Dan Campbell that are just like outright delegators.
Jeff Saturday won his
first game. Yeah. The interim head coach thing is real.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's that is super real.
I actually forgot Jeff Saturday thing even happened. Like
it's such a fever dream, man.
It was a fever dream.
Jeff Saturday starting Sam Ellinger in an NFL game. I mean, it really was like that was such a moment in time. Anyway, all of this is a long way to say.
Yeah, you're
I'm against this for two reasons. The first one being, I think there might be a dead coordinator bounce, and the second one is, I'm a Caleb Slappy. I just refuse to believe that this is who he is, and if that continues to cost me money, so be it. You know, that's fine by me. I would love, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love, I'm a big Jaden Reed guy this week.
I'm no QB scout, but I haven't really seen like a lot of like outright faults from Caleb where just like he doesn't look the part at all.
Yeah, he won't find the check down. That's his big deal right now. He won't find the check down.
Well, he's not. He's got the old school. He has that gene though. The Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson gene. Like he was by and large the best athlete at his position and was able to just extend plays and create money shots at college. That's how he played. And we saw those guys kind of do that in the NFL and then got kind of pulled back in a little bit by the defensive meta. And he's entering the NFL kind of at a wrong time for that style of play, and then paired with everything else around him, just the offensive line play. But he makes a lot of plays where he still gets away and extend plays and does things. It's just the in structure stuff. He makes no easy button plays. Is his big problem right now.
And you just need that in the NFL now.
You do, especially in this era.
Every team needs it. Yeah, it's just that is like that's the meta in the NFL in general.
That's been Trevor Lawrence's bugaboo too. Like Trevor Lawrence has a lot of plays where you're like, yes, this is why you were drafted there. And then he leaves so many easy plays on the field. And it's just so like, it's just so maddening.
And that will come with age and experience. I hope. All right, Reeves, let's do it, man. We're here. Our number one pick, the Kansas City Chiefs, are a road underdog to the Buffalo Bills. Why? It feels like the books, it just feels like, dude, just make the Chiefs a 1-point favorite. Like just make the, don't even add to the mystique, to the ethos of Mr. Mahomes and Andy Reid.
It's the Michael Jordan law, man.
Yeah, just don't even give it. All right. Before we get into kind of the more esoteric analysis, give me your real football thoughts on Chiefs Bills.
I mean, I would say this would be a spot where if you were to pick a game for the Chiefs to lose, this would be one. I do think though that the way the Bills are running this game, with the injuries they have on offense and defense, it definitely is a little bit more problematic to be like extreme. They have like 40% of their roster on the injury report. They might be.
Dalton Kincaid,
he's not going to play.
Out. They just like literally like 2 seconds ago.
Really?
I just was on Twitter.
He wasn't going to play. Out. When he talked about himself, like he said himself, like I couldn't run. I was like, oh, okay. Well, and then they're not going to have Keon Coleman. They should get Amari Cooper back. But the different, because here's the difference for the spot for the Bills versus last year, right? When they beat him in the regular season and then probably should have beat him in the playoffs or at least gave him a good run. What Joe Brady did in those two games, I don't believe is going to work in this game. This Chiefs run defense is the best run defense in the NFL.
They're way too good at run defense.
And that was how Joe Brady beat them up last year in the two spots, was control the game, try not to make mistakes. We're going to run the ball all over you. Because you could, in iterations of the Chiefs defense, even for as good as they were last year, they would give up, ground yards. Like, and then they would rally.
The teams they've given up over 100 rushing yards to, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, Purdy and McCaffrey, or Mason and Purdy.
But they have no individual running back has run for 60 yards in a game against them, and they have faced Derrick Henry, they have faced Alvin Kamara, they have faced Jordan Mason. Like they're number one in success rate against running back runs. They allowed the fewest yards per carry in running back runs. Like, if I don't know how what Joe Brady inherently wants to do is going to work in this matchup, or what they had success with last year is going to work in this matchup. I will say that this version of the Chiefs, though, they're due, man. They're due. Like they've been really trying to lose one of these games. They've
tried to lose every game. They tried to lose to the Buccaneers. They didn't really try to lose to the Raiders. They definitely tried to lose to the 49ers, and the 49ers wouldn't let them. The game they honestly, of all of them, the game they most deserved to lose was the Bengals one. Bengals one should have been a loss the whole way. The Bengals were the better team the entire time, and basically, they just didn't get the Jamar Chase play they needed. Here is my thoughts as someone who both doesn't want them to lose and also kind of wants them to lose. I feel like the Bills are now the little brother who just cannot get one over on them. I know they've won in the regular season, but it's like the fact that the Chiefs are undefeated and the number 1 seed odds are massive here. Like if the Chiefs win this game or if the Bills win this game, that totally swings the picture of who gets the bye. Obviously, the Ravens are part of that conversation as well.
But the Chiefs already beat them.
And so then the Chiefs get the tie break. The Bills the Bills are easily going to win their division. But that, I think, because Kansas City didn't get the bye last year. And I think if they're smart and self-scouting, I think they're like, man, that could have been pretty bad for us to they played a Dolphins team that had no fight in them, but just having to go into that Bills game, having played the extra playoff game, and they're an old team now, getting Kelsey that extra week of rest, getting all these guys, getting DeAndre Hopkins an extra week of rest, like that stuff is definitely going to matter. And do you want to know the absolute sneakiest part of this whole game? I think you already know what I'm going to say. Harrison Butker's on IR, baby. Andy is potentially going to be forced into playing an optimal style of football here instead of a bunch of 27-yard field goals.
You say that.
I say it, and I half believe it. I don't 100% believe it. I definitely do half believe that though. I hope it's a great game. I think that the wide receiver injuries, Joe Brady is calling things in such a way that honestly it kind of limits the ceiling of what the Bills can be. I mean, Keon Coleman being out, not that Keon Coleman is this great player or anything, but having Mac Hollins be your outside guy. I mean, Mac Hollins had 6 targets last week. You don't want to be targeting Mac Hollins 6 times.
Josh Allen's still the only quarterback without a passing touchdown against zone coverage this season.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild stat. I talked about last week about not playing him because against Gus Bradley, and all the cover 3 stuff that they run, and he only faced 3 man coverage dropbacks in that game and didn't throw a touchdown. He's going to run around. I'm not saying you're not mentioning him or anything in leagues, but yeah, I think that the Bills having all these injuries on offense is what kind of scares me from really saying I'm going to support them. And we were going to always blind bet Mahomes' dog anyways. It's just the rule. It's just principle. It's just, I mean, he's 10-3 outright as an underdog, not against the spread, as his record is 10-3. It's absolutely bonkers. And I do think that the Chiefs, this offense that they have right now is kind of equipped to do some things against the Bills because Kareem Hunt's going to run for 3 yards a carry against this Bills defense that has really struggled to stop the run all season long. And then DeAndre Hopkins is working the middle of the field. The Bills play a lot of shell coverage, a lot of zone coverage. You have a lot of all the receptions they allow to the middle of the field. They funnel stuff to the middle of the field. So if they get Matt Milano back, that actually does help them a lot. But that's where Kelsey and Hopkins work. So I think they're going to be able to kind of just meander their way on offense like they have. The Chiefs struggle against these teams like Denver last week, where you can just line up and say, your old guys can't outrun our guys. We're just going to play man coverage. You try to beat us. That's where the Chiefs actually have trouble against those defenses. But these teams that want to play a lot of zone and can't really stop the run, I think that they actually are more successful in these spots.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Bills probably are the better team, but I think the Chiefs are better coached. I think that's a big part of it. And, no disrespect to Josh, but Pat, even shitty dad bod Pat is the best. Dad bod Pat, he's the best, man. I don't know, man.
Something's gonna happen in this game now because these Bills Chiefs games, like something always wonky happens.
Something always wonky happens. I hope it's not a referee thing, but it's gonna be.
It will be.
It's gonna be
a referee thing.
thing.
It's the NFL way. But we're gonna get Ravens Steelers at 1 into this, in the afternoon slate, and then we're gonna get Chargers Bengals. Like that's a pretty nice run of games.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this. Like, so we got the Jets moved. Weren't the Jets Colts supposed to be the Sunday night game, and it flexed out?
Yeah,
God,
flexed out for
flexed
out for a terrible game. Flexed out for a game. Bengals Charger. Oh no, flexed out for a good game.
A good game.
I was thinking Texans Cowboys for some reason. All right.
And we got some other good games on the slate too. I mean, 49ers Seahawks will probably be good, at least for DFS. And
what's your favorite stack? Quarterback pass catcher stack?
I would say still Russ and Pickens for DFS, like DFS purposes.
Yeah. It's not going to end up being that owned because the pricing is weird because Pickens is $7K on DraftKings and Russ is $5.9K. Like it'll be owned, but not like giga owned, basically.
Yeah, I also, if you play on FanDuel, which has the Sunday night game, I like Herbert plus Quentin Johnston as well on that site. And then they're underpriced on Chase Brown, so you have a nice little triumvirate that gets you to a lot of pieces for tournaments. I like that one a lot too. Herbert's way underpriced on FanDuel, and that's on the main site. Sunday night's always over there.
I do like that, by the way. That is like a
good
move.
I had one where I was first in a tournament. I think it was week 3, and I was first in a tournament and got run down by a Sunday night game. And I had another one where I was like in the money, top 5. And then if it would have ended at 4 out of like cash, I got run down. This is definitely a week if you have if you're out of player minutes on FanDuel going into the Sunday night game.
It's over for you.
It's a tough spot because their price, dude, they made Chase Brown 6,800. Which is super weird because they played on Thursday. Herbert's really underpriced. You got guys like Quentin Johnson. Will Dissly's $5K there, who's playable against the Bengals. Like they're just a lot of cheap pieces in that game.
You love to see it. All right, man.
So yeah, I mean, but yeah, let's build this.
We gotta cook. We gotta cook. Let's do it, man. I will give you first right of refusal. You can do. Well, are we doing the freebie, Jahmyr Gibbs?
Are we going back?
16 and a half now.
They upped it a yard.
They have moved at a yard.
I had people like tweeting me about it, and I was like, "Oh man, I hope this keeps winning," because people are like doing it now every week.
Yeah, no, we've ruined the edge, man. We've ruined the edge. Yeah, we don't have to take that one. We can do whatever you want, man.
I am looking at what do we got? We want to have a fun one. What about Devin? I like Devin Achane. It seems like combo yards.
Correct. I like Achane combo yards. I like Achane receiving yards. I will do any.
How much stock are you putting into what happened on Monday with Mostert?
Mostert being the third down back. I think that transitioning your 31-year-old running back to a third down back and giving him 0 carries is I would call that's the last.
Well, but it's massive for like a DFS stance. Like, because like if Achane turns into a running back, that's gonna start going to get 70% of the touches every week. Like, whew.
He is. I mean, Mostert, like the Dolphins are done with fuck around season. The McDaniel's coaching for his job, man. He can't be given charity touches to Raheem Mostert. I think we see Mostert get marginalized and we see a little bit more Jalen Wright, but mostly I think we're going to see a lot of Achane. I would not be surprised to see 22 touches from Devin Achane here against the Raiders. He's like my number one. Like, I don't care what he's owned in DFS this week. I'm absolutely jamming him.
It's not hard to get Achane and McCaffrey together.
No, it's not. We got.
It's
Davis
not like
Allen.
last week. Things are not as tight as they were last week.
Yeah. Achane's going CMC mode. I agree. All right, let's do it. Let's do 101.5 combo yards for Devin Achane. We need something from Baltimore, Pittsburgh. We can do multiple things.
I'm not playing estimate, chat. I'm going to tell you guys that right now.
No estimate. No estimate for Reeves. Reeves is not an estimate guy. I mean,
You don't need.
estimate.
He's not needed this week. I just don't think he's needed on this slate.
No, you just play Davis Allen and Dawson Knox, bro.
I mean, you don't even need Davis Allen out there. It's not hard. If you're playing on DraftKings, the 5K wide receiver range is loaded, and it hasn't been this season. I mean, you can play. Cedric Tillman is severely underpriced again, coming out of on both sites. You could Juwan Jennings is in play still again at what is he, 53? Like you don't have, like, there's no high price wide receivers you have to pay for this week.
Justin Jefferson. What if?
I'm not paying it this week.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah,
okay.
Sutton's a good one too. Yeah, Sutton is gonna smash. Yeah, play the good Play Bo Nix, and if you're gonna play a Bronco, play Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix.
You want Sutton yards, touchdown, longest reception.
Oh, yards for sure. I've already laddered him.
All right, 69.
The Atlanta Falcons have been absolutely crushed by wide receiver ones this year.
All right, there we go. Do you want to do? I'll give you the option: Zay Flowers receiving yards or George Pickens receiving yards.
If we do a Pickens one, what's his longest catch?
26.5. Very far.
They did juice it. They did juice it up pretty good.
I like Flowers receiving yards. I think he could hit that in the first half.
Or his catches. I mean, he gets so many pop passes too.
I'll do either. Your pick.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
All right.
You said you were feeling one.
I'm going to do 59.5 receiving yards.
If you were going to do 57.5, do 59.
Juice it up a little bit there. All right. I'm going to make you pick between Puka, 69.5 receiving yards, or Kupp, 69.5 receiving yards.
I think in DFS, the play in that game is Kyron.
I will do Kyron rushing.
How about
yards.
a touchdown? You always love your touchdowns.
Say less. Kyron Williams, he gets a touchdown every single week.
He hasn't scored in 2 games. Like, that's like a
true
super drop for him. It's coming to an end this week.
Oh, we need a Jamar Chase, or they don't have the yards yet. Never mind, they don't have the
probably
yards.
because it's Sunday night. Yeah, because Quentin Johnston is a dude I think is an interesting spot too this week.
I like Purdy passing yards. I like Purdy. I like Purdy anything. You got to read on Seattle, San Francisco.
I like the 2 touchdown passes.
Bang. There we go. Brock Purdy. He's absolutely lighting it up. We'd like Cedric Tillman in this spot. Can I interest you in Cedric Tillman, 55.5 receiving yards?
That too. Yeah, I like Nick Chubb too. What's Nick Chubb stuff? Is it
Chubb is going to be 61.5 rushing yards, 14.5 rushing attempts. I could be tempted in either of those or the touchdown.
The temps sound good, where you don't even care if he's good.
We don't even care if he's good. Maybe do we have a fantasy points line? No, 14.5 longest rush for Nick Chubb. I think I just talked myself into that. I mean, come on, that's the Nick Chubb experience, isn't it?
I mean, it hasn't been since doesn't have a knee, but
right. Let's do 14.5 rushing attempts. There you go. Bang. We need.
He's not playable on DraftKings. He is playable on FanDuel this week, I think. He's 6,200 on FanDuel.
I'm trying to think. Do we have something for? We got to pick a lion, right? Goff passing touchdowns, 1.5 passing touchdowns for Goff.
Yeah, I could do Goff. Who else do we like? Does Bateman have anything fun?
Bateman, 18.5 longest reception. I like that. 35.5 receiving yards. 1.82x multiplier. Ooh. Mac Jones to throw an interception. There we go. I mean, that what is it? Like 0.5x multiplier? Oh yeah. Mac Jones to throw an interception. All right, Reeves, we need one more. We need one more. We can have any player on the board.
Who else do we want to do here? Mix in a guy. Who else we like in DFS this week? Maybe a couple dudes.
I'm trying to think.
We did Bateman.
Anthony Richardson rushing touchdown. Anthony Richardson 7.5 rushing attempts. There's your gold star lock of the week.
Jets are 30th in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks.
Yeah, that is preposterous. There we go. Bang.
There you go.
Oh, I gotta location services. They always get me. Reebs, you are about to leave and go do the show with Hilo. Isn't it free week on Sharp Football this week?
It is. Yeah, you can read all the stuff over there for free. Go sign up. It's just like a trial service thing. Just, set yourself an alert to cancel if you don't want to get out. Get out. That's not my thing. That's how they just set it up. So I always try to remind people about that though. Try to look out for you.
Reebs.
Yeah, get that. Good. But you can come in, just hang out, read all the worksheet games, read all DFS stuff. And you get all, the thing is, you get all of like the Warren's, like the stuff he gives out to clients too, all the betting picks.
All right, there we go.
He's been awesome. He's been good this year. Since I've been with Warren, he's only had one bad year. I think that was the year they wrote the hit piece on him.
God.
But he's been good he's been awesome the last 2 years. So can't take anything away from him.
All right, folks, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to be back in about 2.5 minutes with Nez of the Badge Bros. We are going to do our Pick'em show. This was just a little bit of a teaser there. We've got A-Chain, Kyron, Purdy, Chubb, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, Cortland Sutton, and Zay Flowers hires. You guys don't even need to know that. I mean, come on, they're always hires here on the show. Make sure that you are checking out Reebs' stuff. Make sure that you hang around for a couple minutes, and we do the next show here. Have a great day, everybody.
It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King Summer.